worry. There's nothing wrong with your radio. There is a broadcast here, rocking and rolling for all of you night owls and graveyard shift workers out there. Allow me to welcome you to the Spirit Radio and our very first broadcast. It's a great honor to finally be heard after so very, very long. Too long, in fact. You see, we are a radio show with a difference. The Spirit Radio is made for all you late night listeners. Nighttime is our time, and I am your ever grateful host, awaiting any of your calls and to hopefully fill the night with music and entertainment. Please, feel free to phone in. You know the number. Just reach out and call. We're on the air and we want to make ourselves known. We're the voices in the dark calling to you to join in and be a part of this broadcast. The Spirit Radio is a place to be heard after all. Time to enjoy the night time. To look around and smile at the person sat next to you. To finally see them when before you could not. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Please, call us and regale us with a spooky tale of your own. Don't let me do all the talking. The Spirit Radio is a place where you will sit up and pay attention, to feel the thrill of the spooky, the unknown, those little slices of horror so exciting to hear, like horrifying legends told about campfires to get the mind racing and the blood pumping. We all have those moments, don't you? Where you'd swear someone was in the room, looking over your shoulder as you read, or you were positive you saw something that just couldn't exist, right? Those feelings that make you run back to your bedroom from the bathroom, from the darkness of the shadows, because you're sure that you saw something out of the corner of your eye, but the shadows are just too dark. Or is it the shadows themselves that are getting closer?
We have our first caller here on line 1.
Well, listeners, it would seem one of you has reached out and dialed us. We have our first ever caller who seems to have a few questions. Hello there. You are on the Spirit Radio, and welcome.
So, there is a show on this late instead of dead silence, huh? Something new for all those tinfoil hat-wearing weirdos with their eyeliners and witches' hats? Well, goddamn. You guys must be really desperate for listeners to put this kind of bull out in the air. How about some country? Or easy listening instead of this crap, huh? What the hell's up with your voice, dude? Thought my radio was busted or something. God damn. If that's your real voice, you might want to go see somebody, 'cause puberty fucked you up royally. It ain't Halloween, you fucking freak! Knock off the spook act and get someone else on! And hey, all you snot-nosed little goths and emo shits out there buying into this crap, get a life! Well, shit, you ain't hung up on me yet, so let me say this loud and clear. Your show blows! Get up there, you hacks!
Dear, dear me. It would appear not everyone out there really understands what we're trying to do. Still, I suppose it's to be expected. Not the most thrilling way to begin our time on the airwaves, but nevertheless our first caller, and one I'm sure we won't forget. Is there another caller listening and waiting?
We do indeed have another caller waiting. Perhaps this one can do a better job of setting the mood.
We can but hope. Hello, caller, and welcome to the Spirit Radio.
Okay, so I don't need to give my name or anything, do I?
No, not if you don't want to. All we want to hear from you is something that'll set our listeners on edge. The microphone is yours, dear caller.
Alright. Well, I used to work in this office building. It used to all be one big office, but the company who paid for it to be built moved out, so now it's a load of little offices and like communal staff rooms and things. There's one big floor on the top where I worked, which had all been made into one big office, but underneath it's been renovated, so the lower floors are part of what used to be the foyer and things like that. On the side of the lifts and the staircases to get between floors, and there's these little bridges that span between it. It's kind of hard to explain, but the reason I'm saying it now is because it's important later. Basically, when you're walking along one of these bridges, depending on which side you're crossing from, you can look to the side and see these big, huge glass windows. It's really open. I guess back when it was built, it was to make the place look warm, like a big, open, welcome place, give a whole bunch of natural light or something. So anyway, I worked in the top office. It's like 3 or 4 stories high, and my boss told me I had to work late. Now this guy's a little... well, he's never tried anything, but he always used to laugh a bit too long if he heard me crack a joke in the staff meeting, and he was sort of heavy on the compliments, so it got pretty uncomfortable around him. Like, he was flirting, but not being really sexual, so I just shrugged it off. Anyway, the next day he asked me to stop late to do some work on this new brief we were working on, and he said I'll get overtime. So I'm a little wary, like I said, but we've got a night watchman and a janitor who stops late as well, so it wasn't like I was alone entirely in the building with him. Plus there's security cameras all around, so I figured, alright, if Mr. Russian hands and Roman fingers tries anything, I can take him, no sweat. Anyway, the overtime's pretty dull, actually. Once or twice he asked if I wanted coffee, and I just shrug it off. If I want a coffee, I'll get my own. Okay, call me paranoid if you want, but just because you're paranoid doesn't mean someone isn't out to get you, you know what I mean? So a few hours roll by, and I wait till he's got his cup of coffee before I head down to get my own. And sure enough, he's all, oh, you should have said, I would have got one for you. But I politely turn him down and head off to where the drinks machines are. There's a few seats there too, but mostly people head to the machines, grab whatever they want, and then just head back to work. I was debating which I was going to do. Take 5 away from overly friendly boss and sit in the staff area for a few, or head back up, work through the caffeine boost, and get out faster. So I can see the staff area ahead of me, and I'm still thinking what to do, and then something kind of catches the corner of my eye, something moving, and I look, and there's this figure standing there. And I think it was a woman because of the clothes, but her head, she was looking right at me, because I could see how big her eyes were, but her head was shaking as fast as it could. I mean, her head was shaking so fast, her hair was streaming out in all directions, but I could still tell she was looking right at me. It looked like she was on sped up footage from a movie or something, but the rest of her wasn't moving. Her eyes were these big wide discs looking right at me. I mean, I was tired as hell, but that woke me up fast. She was staring right at me, even as her head was doing this crazy shake, and the rest of her was perfectly still, and her hands were pressed hard to the glass of the window, and even as I started to back up, as her head's doing this weird as hell thrashing from side to side, she's watching me, and her eyes were following me. And I turned and I bolted back out of view up the stairs. I didn't know who she was or what was going on, but when I got to the next floor, I sort of edged as close as I could to peek around the corner, see if she was still there. And she was, but she was looking further up at me, like she knew exactly where I'd be. She was still doing that crazy head shaking, just staring. And that was enough for me. I bolted back up to the office and started grabbing my things to get out of there. Only this time, I look up to the back of the office, and I can see this crazy lady's face staring back through the glass window of my boss's office. And we're 4 floors up, and she's stood there. Only now she was nodding, slowly, with this big, insane grin. I screamed my lungs out in fear. My boss frantically asked me what was wrong. I didn't care if I thought he was a creep. I was petrified. I told him all about it. There was this woman outside, Even in my hysterics, I left out the part of her being several stories up. I just said there was this creepy lady I saw outside and I thought I saw her in the office. And he called the security guard and a call was put to the police, and one of the female officers took me home while they checked the building and the grounds outside. Freaked me out so badly I made up my mind to ask for a week or two off. If the boss had a soft spot for me, okay, I was going to use it because I needed it. I kept expecting to see her in the shadows, standing at the end of the corridor when I went to the bathroom, so I'd end up running back to bed like she was chasing me, but obviously she wasn't there. The next day, I went into work to ask for time off. The boss smiled and nodded, and he understood that I was a bit shaken up. He said it was understandable for a young woman like me to feel vulnerable. Thanks for pointing that out. Way to make me feel anxious even there and then. He wandered off for a sec to check with someone if we could get a temp to cover for me. On his desk was this photograph. So naturally I took a look. My blood ran cold. I started to feel myself freaking out again. It's my wife. Boss spoke up from behind me, made me jump, pointed to the photograph. He said she passed away 3 years ago. I didn't want to trip down his memory lane, so I turned and hurried out as quickly as I could. Within 30 minutes, I'd walked down to the staff area, frantically written a letter of resignation explaining I'd be unable to work my 2 weeks, and handed it in. The woman at the window, she was the same one in his photo, right down to the clothes.
Now that's more the kind of tale we're looking for here on the Spirit Radio. Tales and stories of the spooky and unexplained. We've all had to work late at some point, and it's never a pleasant sensation when the cold air catches on the back of your hands and arms to make you turn around in your seat, just to make sure you're truly alone. Or when you walk past that long corridor or darkened staircase you can't quite see the end of that makes you wonder, is something hiding there? Is something waiting there?
Speaking of waiting, we have another call here with another story to share.
It seems you're getting it, listeners. We want to give you a voice. We don't mock or judge your stories of the dark, far from it. We love to hear them. Hello, caller. You're on the Spirit Radio.
You know, listening to that other call, it kind of got me thinking about me and my fiancée.
Ah, a flashback to days gone by?
Sorta. It was back when we first really got serious about each other. We'd been seeing each other for about 7 months, so it stopped being just a casual thing and became real. You get what I mean? Only popped the question a few months ago.
Started to think that this one could be the one. It sounds like you're ready to start.
Yeah, so we go to these different parties and hangouts with each other. More than often than not, they'd be talking about witchcraft, supernatural stuff. It was kind of funny when you look back on it. We all wanted to be different, so we all wore black and had similar haircuts and spoke about the same old stuff. But my girlfriend, she really got into those specific parties. I wasn't invited, which was fine. I mean, we were all friends, but sometimes there'd be a set few of us who'd go off to see a band, or some would go to a bookstore to read and hang out. I just figured it was one of those kind of nights. Girls' night in or something. She came back one night and looked spooked. I guess that's the word to say. I thought maybe she'd taken something and was still coming down from wherever it was. So I made her a hot drink and sat down with her on this couch. She told me whilst she was at a friend's house, they decided to break out a Ouija board they just bought. Now, I know about Ouija boards from horror movies, and I knew that you don't mess around with them unless you know what you're doing, or you could serve something pretty dangerous. And I was concerned. I mean, rightfully so. Sure, we like to talk about creepy and spooky stuff, but this was the first time any of us had really reached out to it. So I played it calm, asked what it was like, and she told me she actually had a really relaxing time. That threw me instantly and asked her, hold on, I thought Ouija boards was supposed to be the thing that scared the bejeebus out of us, and everyone. And she smiled, and shook her head, and said, no, nothing like that. At first we couldn't even communicate with anyone. We asked any of our family or friends if they wanted to come through, and the planchette just stayed where it was. Then we asked if anyone did want to communicate, and someone replied. He said he was called Vic. I had to stop myself from smiling when she said that. I mean, Christ, a ghost with the same name as a vapor rub. I nodded, and she told me how Vic was a calm spirit who didn't seem to talk much about himself or his past. He was very relaxing to talk to, and all of them had just enjoyed the company from beyond. He guessed all of their birthdays correctly, told some of them they'd be married soon. Very relaxing things. Okay, weird as hell that my girlfriend was talking to a dead guy, but maybe one of the other girls was playing around, and it was just in good fun or something. Vickers told him he was the board spirit, the protector of that specific Ouija board. Of course, that's coming to the conclusion that whoever they talked to was telling the truth. I mean, people lie, and spirits are dead people, so the downing part of my brain had to ask if this was true. This happened a few more weeks, the same routine. She'd go to her friend's house to crack open that board and chat with Vic again, and she'd always wander back with that same dopey grin on her lips. Only one time she comes back a bit earlier than I expected, and she's not looking too hot. Looks pretty damn tired, actually. And I had to ask her, what's going on with you and that board? She sort of sneered but chuckled, saying how it was all just a bit of fun. And Vic was really mellow to talk to. He just wanted some company. Dark alarm bells ringing in my head, finally. I mean, Vic in all their eyes was a handsome, charming, supermodel-looking kind of spirit. But for all they knew, he was a 7-foot-tall, hunchback demon with teeth as big as their arms. You can't see what's on the other side of that board. It could be anyone. Alright, maybe I was jealous by this point. But it felt off. Words were said, and we both went to bed pretty angry at the whole thing. I think I was jealous, and me trying to point out that she was talking to a dead guy. Still, things calmed down, and we apologized when we went to bed. There was still an atmosphere, but I was tired, and she looked like she was getting worse the more we argued, so I dropped her and figured tomorrow was a new day. It's late, and I hear her get out of bed to go to the bathroom. Sort of a semi-awake feeling that she moved, but I was tired, so I just shifted a bit under the blankets to wait for her to come back. And sure enough, she snuggles back into bed in front of me this time, all warm and snuggled close under the sheets. I figured she was feeling a bit affectionate after we argued, so I scooted a little closer to her, eyes still closed and a big dopey grin on my face, nuzzled into her and said, I love you. Softly I heard her reply, I love you too. But her voice came from behind me. It had to be her. I felt a hand slip around my waist and heard the bed creak as she got back under the blankets with me. I opened my eyes like a shot and sat bolt upright. Put the fear of God into my girlfriend, and for a split second, I swore there was something next to me. A very solid, very real shape that was there one moment and gone the next. Hell, even the blankets were slightly bunched up, like whatever was under them had just vanished. I tried to process what I'd seen, but even as my girlfriend's thumping me on the arm, asking me what my problem was, I didn't see too many details, but that figure had to have been the full length of the damned bed, and the entire face seemed off, vague. I caught a glimpse of eyes and a mouth, but that was all I saw. I told her about this next morning over breakfast, and she had to laugh at my expense. Sure, she's playing with Ouija boards and I'm the one seeing ghosts, but the irony wasn't lost on me, and even I had a good chuckle with her. We started to face bits of the golf culture from our house and wardrobe at about this time. Maybe we were both growing up, but we were at the age where we weren't dressing to be a part of something anymore. We had our friends, and we liked what we liked. Plus, secretly, A big part of me was still pretty freaked out over the bed incident, and I didn't really want to go to the bathroom and see a poster of a grinning skull looking back at me. I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched either. I found myself going out to the local bar or visiting my parents because the whole house felt like the atmosphere had changed when I was alone. My girlfriend was getting sicker too. I mean, she'd always had this pale ethereal beauty about her, but now she looked gaunt. Not just pale, but really run down and tired. She always looked bruised, if that makes any sense. Like, she looked as though she'd fall apart in any minute. Any second, even. I was getting seriously worried about her. Especially as she kept insisting on going to those damned gatherings with her friends. Eventually, I insisted on going to those gatherings. I wanted answers. And if some spook from the great unknown was causing this, I wanted to at least understand what was going on. By now, my girlfriend was too tired to really complain. I could see it in her eyes that she was closest to telling me it was over, or needing me closer than ever before, but she hadn't decided which yet. So I drove over to the meetup, and I was pretty shocked when I saw everyone. I knew these people. I knew Jessica, Marley, Claire, and they all looked as tired as my girlfriend. Like, all of them had this strange addiction to talking to Vic, and they had to keep going. They were shocked when they saw me, but I explained myself, and I guess they were too tired to really care or argue. It was surreal. I knew most of these girls had been septics. But here they are on the hype train, getting all excited about this mysterious Vic. So, out comes the Ouija board, and down go the lights. And nothing happens. They try calling up Vic, and nothing responds. Everyone in the room looks puzzled and a little scared. It's kind of like they forgot I was there, and they tried it over and over to call him. Hell, they're practically banging him. And I think, okay, this is going way too far and way too weird. So I got up. Look, if things aren't happening because I'm here, I'm gonna go away in the car, I announced to them. Hell, when I say this, they practically look grateful, so I wandered back out to my car. I wasn't exactly leaving them in privacy. I thought this kind of no-show might happen, so I take my dad's binoculars with me. I figured I could look in through the front window from where I sat in the car. True enough, I can see the board come to life, and everyone's all smiles and joy. Their buddy from beyond's there. Only things seem to go south pretty quick. The faces fall, and their arms are being jerked from how hard the planchett's moving. And there's something in the room. I see it for only a second, but there's someone else stood in that room, and it brings what I figured was its fist down on the board. I can hear screams out of my car, and I'm up and sprinting to the house as fast as I can. Three of the girls are hugging each other and sobbing. Two over my girlfriend, trying to wake her because she's out cold on the floor. I freak out at that point and start checking she's breathing okay. Sit up despite her moans of protest. By that point, all of them were calling family or their friends to come pick them up, and the Ouija board had been flung back into its box. The planchette had been flung straight into the fireplace. The fire wasn't lit, but it was chilling in a strange way to see it. There. Vic didn't want you here. Jessica sobbed out to me nervously whilst we were helping my girlfriend into my car. He told us how we'd be sorry, and every time we tried to end the session, the board kept spelling out sorry. He didn't want you here, she sobbed out, half hysterically, and trust me, at that point, the feeling was very, very mutual. The second someone else showed up to the help, gave the girls a hand calming down and getting rides home, I bailed. Call me an asshole if you want, but my priority was my girlfriend. She was acting like she was doped up on something, slurring her words and struggling to hold her head up. When we got back home, I sat her down on the couch and sat next to her, with her feet across my lap and a thick warm blanket over her. That figure I saw through the window looked too similar to the thing that laid next to me. It brought back all the unpleasantness. I fell in the house. Things got worse when my girlfriend started having a nightmare. I mean, a really bad nightmare. She had sort of a fever and whimpering in her sleep. I could see the sweat on her brow and seeing it seeping through her clothes. Her mom was a nurse, so I figured if I could cool her down a little, I could drive over there and we could spend the night at their place and deal with all the night scrap in a new light. The icebox was down in the basement, so I made sure my girlfriend was comfortable before I headed down to grab some. Only that feeling was back. That feeling of being watched, stronger than ever before. I kept seeing something out of the corner of my eyes, and every time I jerked my head to look, there wasn't a damn thing. I grabbed the ice bag from the freezer and turned back to upstairs to get the hell out of Dodge as this thing goes, and there's something standing in the furthest corner from me. It's got its head tilted sideways on its neck. I mean, like how a human tilts their head. I mean, this thing's entire head, it's sideways on its neck, and it's looking right at me with these wide, pale, watery eyes. They're so white that they're like perfect circles, and this thing's fingers, they're so long, they must have been the length of its palms, twice over. They twitched slightly as it wheezed in its breath. Then from all around me, all I could hear was one word in a throaty, animalistic growl. Vic. That was it for me. I was past being scared and into something else entirely. I tossed the bag of ice to the floor and I sprinted for the staircase, leaping them 3 at a time. And this thing is in the corner of my eyes at every turn. I grabbed my girlfriend up into my arms and she's swaying so badly, but I can't stop. Hell, even as I'm picking her up, I see this Vic thing at the corner of the same fucking room. And I don't know if you want me or her, but I'm on autopilot as I barrel out the door and into the car. And my girlfriend is thrashing and sobbing with this fever, and I don't know what the hell she's seeing, but I remember hoping she wouldn't wake up and see whatever this thing is I'm seeing. The car's engine doesn't start, and the first few times I turned the key and it started, but I look up and see whatever it is on the front step gazing at us. Only now its entire body is twitching, like shivering. Something like that. Then the engine catches and starts before I know it. We're barreling as fast as possible from the house, and whatever it is, that is all. We make it to my girlfriend's house in half the time we usually take. I don't even remember how many junctions I must have just sped through. It's a miracle I didn't mow someone down. Her parents were confused as hell, but when they see in the state she's in, her mother's nurse instincts kick in and we're both hustled inside. It's only when they pointed it out that I realized my crotch and my jeans are soaked, and I realized I must have pissed myself in terror at some point. I was too freaked out to really give a damn. My girlfriend was taken to hospital to get checked out. She'd been sobbing deliriously to her mother that she was being chased by something. I guess they thought we'd been taking drugs or something, so she was admitted. They gave her antibiotics and kept her in for a few days. When her tox report came back clear of drugs, her parents treated me less like the enemy within. They seemed generally worried about us both. We didn't go back to our house. We visited once or twice to get our stuff, but we moved in with our parents. They saw how freaked out she was and how weak she'd become. And when we asked if we could live with them, they eagerly said yes. We lived there for a good few years. Once in a while we tried to explain what had happened, but they paid little attention. I could help them to sleep better at night. We drifted apart from most of our friends from back then. I found a few through Facebook. We found out most of them moved on from the hostel after that night. It had just been us experiencing weird things we later found out, and all of us tried to bury it in the past. I don't know what the hell Vic was. I don't even know if its name was Vic. I tried looking stuff up but got nothing. I couldn't really get any answers. That's the part that scared me the most. If someone told me, hey, this person died in your house, I'd at least know who was after me. It was something, because you decided to open up the door and accept your invitation. It doesn't like you, but it really likes the person calling it though. It's been a year now, and I just hope whatever it was, we've run far enough from it so it can't really find us again. But that was my supernatural experience. Sorry it didn't end on such a cliffhanger as the first tale, but Hopefully someone enjoyed it.
A cliffhanger isn't a necessity when contacting the Spirit Radio. Just a nice, thrilling recollection to keep us all on the edge of our seats. And believe me, caller, I think your tale was able to do just that. It's always wonderful when hobbies and interests bring friends together. Just be careful that you don't bring something else into your hobbies that's not likely to play nice.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems we're going to have to make a move.
Ah, yes. Such a pity, just when the mood had settled. Still, time waits for no one, and even we must drift back to the shadows from whence we came. I truly hope that you enjoyed the show, and both my producer and myself, your ever grateful host, shall eagerly be awaiting the chance for the Spirit Radio to return to the airwaves once again. Perhaps next time, the next tale to be told will be your own.